It's going to make a small collection. So if anyone wants to give, no problems. If they can either give to me or Jyoti Ben. And what we'll do is at the next session, we'll try and ask Kanti Bhai if he's free to actually just come and show our gratitude to him for the fact that they've allowed us to use this facility for so long. So that was the first two housekeeping points. Again, we're grateful that in this month of Purushottam Mass, that actually we've all gathered together to discuss Bhagavad Gita. And what I want to do today is just highlight the fact that we want to thank Nita, Hina, and I think the Devon and Ria, is that right? Yeah? Yeah, for actually sponsoring and facilitating everything today. So we're really grateful for that. And your chokras are there all the time. But at the same time, this will be a lovely supplement that we're grateful that you're kindly helping us out with. So the other thing is, when I get here, one is I like asking questions. And I asked, I think, a couple of questions last time around, maybe two times ago, to say, why are you here? Because actually, it's a nice sunny day. You could be watching EastEnders, you could be doing something else. And I think some of the answers that we got reflecting back was, do you want a bit of peace inside? Somebody wanted knowledge. And I think somebody said it's, they're just inquisitive to find out a bit more about this. So in the chapter that we're dealing with today, I want to reverse the question, is that actually, if you told me why you were here, well, why do you think actually Krishna came to give the Bhagavad Gita? So this is my question to the wider audience here before we start our talk, to just get a feel for what you think, what's the relevance of this? We're all happy where we are. Why do we need this? So any starters? Why do you think? Well, what does it say? Because it was in these, I don't know who opened the book this time, but there were some suggestions in there. I always pick on somebody.
What was the question?
So why? Okay, so we asked the question last time around that we're here because we want to either learn a bit, we want a bit of peace of mind, get away from this, get away from that. But actually, why has Krishna spent so much time at so many different places, or the incarnations have come and said, why does he want to? We're some small little person living here. Why have they come? So just the thought. I'm just asking you. What do you think? Go on,
to help us self-realise ourselves.
Perfect, okay, good. Any other thoughts? Perfect, okay, so give us knowledge, yeah?
Yeah, I think the Bhagavad Gita is there's so many times in your life you become confused. You can't see the answers, and then by reading the Bhagavad Gita it helps you solve the confused moments.
Good. Any more? Okay. So yeah, but I think all perfect answers, all really good. And I think if we remember the last section that we had was what is the cause of all problems, and they said lust, and then it said it's been happening. But actually, if we look at the start of this session, the first thing it says this problem's been there since time immemorial, and it keeps coming again. But if we look at the description, one thing that Krishna says is that I've come to, when there's a decline in religious principles, I come to re-establish religion. That yada yada hi dharmasya, and I come to re-establish that. I come there to actually protect my devotees and to show them something, and I come there to remove all the miscreants. So if you look at the Ramayana, we've got that story. We look at the Bhagavad Gita, we've got that story. But the other thing that's quite beautiful, and I think this is what you guys have picked up on, is actually Krishna, as much as we want to go back to him, he's a lot more eager than we are. And actually, there's a nice verse I'm just going to quote, and this is what I did last time. And the verse is verse 9. And it says, "One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode." So the reason I like that verse is actually, if we look at all these pastimes, we did the Jaya Katha just now, and if you listen to all the pastimes, they're actually beautiful. You listen about Krishna and the gopis, and he did this as a child, he did this, and then you listen to all the other pastimes about the other incarnations. But actually, one of the reasons this is here is actually, he's saying, come back to me. You take one step, he'll take 10. And partly we're lucky in this tradition that we've been born into with the Bhagavad Gita and this. Actually, all the other religious traditions say that God is all powerful, is all beautiful. But actually here it says, no, God is this tall, he's blue, he plays a flute, here are his friends, this is where he lives. In the Ramayana, you'll see this is what Ram did. So actually we've got something very beautiful here, if we can use that time for it. And the other thing, if we look at this hall is Raghuvanshi. So we are the Raghuvanshi dynasty. Is that right or wrong? A lot of us are Lohanas, yeah? So what does that mean?
We supposed to be, we are the Rama. Descendants of Lord Rama. We are actually, Rama had two sons.
Yes.
Kush.
Okay.
Kush is our lineage.
Okay. So if you think about that, what sort of lineage are you in? Raghu was a king in the dynasty of Lord Ram. So the first, if you read the very first paragraph, the very first verse in this, it says Krishna came and he gave his science to Vibhishan, he gave it to Manu, he gave it to Ishvaku. So Ishvaku is the king in the Raghu dynasty. So this is Raghu, and one of the kings was Raghu. And then in that dynasty, Lord Ram has come. So actually we're sitting here, potentially in that lineage where you've got somebody like Lord Ram has come by disciplinic succession to actually give us these things. So this is just a few things I just want you to think about, because this is all in that first few paragraphs. And what we're more lucky about is when you read this, actually this all happens by parampara. So actually, again, Jeje was at our place and he said, the most important thing here is we get the knowledge. Actually, we don't know the knowledge of that, but it's handed down from one to another. And when we have somebody here, it's like it's nice knowing the 700 verses, but if you've got one verse here and you've got somebody that follows the principles like this young man, we're actually privileged here that in this parampara of Lord Ram sitting in this Raghuvanshi hall, that we're going to get a speaker who's from that dynasty as well, who's going to enlighten us. So there I'll introduce
Raghuvanshi Kotecha.
Raghuvanshi Kotecha, next to our president Dinesh Bhai Kotecha. So there we go. Okay, so thank you. That was really
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna. So nice to be with you all again. I hope you had a good time going through chapter 3 with Vaishnava Prabhu. So he does all the odd chapters, I'm doing all the even chapters. So we're doing chapter 4. We're starting chapter 4 today, and we'll finish chapter 4 on the 16th of August in 2 weeks' time. Did we do the prayers, the invocation prayers, the Om Gyan? Should we do that? Yeah. So maybe we can do the invocation prayers. If you have a Bhagavad Gita, it should be towards the beginning, at the front where it says introduction. There are the prayers. Oh yeah, maybe we can hand that out quickly. That'd be nice, and everyone can follow. See, we're getting the prayers we got it on the sheet so we can hand it out, but it is there somewhere, right at the beginning of the Gita.
They're different. The first sheets are different. So the ones we're giving out now are different from the ones we had before. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we want the two-sided one. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah, it's a two-sided one. Hare Krishna. Okay, so this is a really nice prayer. When we chant this prayer, and the translation is also there, and we can see what we're doing. What we're doing when we chant this prayer is we are really, really tuning in to the environment that we're in. We've taken a lot of effort to come here. Like Divyesh Bhai said, it's a nice sunny evening after a miserable rainy day. We could think, oh, it's summer, it's the evening, let me go out somewhere and enjoy the weather outside, or do many things. You could have done anything, but you decided to come here. So what we do, we invoke these prayers, we chant these prayers to really pray and meditate that we're going to really take this time, this next hour, hour and a half, whatever it is, to hear and to discuss the contents of this 4th chapter and pray to Krishna, pray to Srimati Radharani, that devotion in the heart can be invoked, that this love in the heart, that's there. But sometimes we notice we don't act with our higher self. Don't we notice something? We have our good side and we have our bad side. And on some days, we're like, I'll do anything for you, ready. We're ready to serve others. We're happy to be with others. And on some other days, it's just very different. How could they say this to me? Why did they do that? And we're just acting in a very reactive way. So what we're praying for is, let's tune in to this transcendental subject matter. Whatever's going on in the outside world, outside this room, for the next hour or so, it can wait. It can wait, because there's something really relishable while we are here. Just imagine you're in the cinema. You keep the phone in the pocket, or you put the phone in the bag and think, it can wait. Whatever's going on, it can wait, because I want to tune into the movie. So what we want to do now is tune into the teachings of Lord Krishna. So we can chant these prayers, which will really help us tune in, because we're asking all the previous teachers, we're asking Radha Krishna themselves to give us that Shakti, to give us that energy. Okay. Om Gyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Natati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, thank you Divyesh Bhai for the kind introduction and reminding everyone what happened at the end of the 3rd chapter. So at the end of the 3rd chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna, I want to do the right thing. I know what the right thing is. I want to do it, but something that I can't seem to control within myself stops me from doing the right thing. And Krishna responds and tells him what it is. What was it? Divyesh Bhai just mentioned it. What is it? Lust. It's lust only. Krishna says it's lust only. What is this lust? Lust is this force within us. It's this force that's everywhere. It's this desire to control. We want to control everything, don't we? It's like we have this tendency to think everything depends on me. Everything depends on me. If I don't get the shopping done, no one will eat. I'm sure they'll find a way. But we think that it's all on me. And it's this inherent need or desire that's been going on for millions of years throughout humanity, where we feel that we're the ones that are so important, where if suddenly something happened to me, no one will be able to survive around me. That actually blocks us from accessing spiritual happiness. Why is this the case? Or what is it that's making this happen? Because there's something called the false ego. And the false ego is the way we identify ourselves in this world. We all have different identities. Here I can say I have many identities. I'm a tutor, I teach. I'm an accountant. I'm a son. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have different identities, and I have to play different roles according to that identity. You can see here, I'm a Liverpool fan. Also, that also becomes part of your identity, of different identities. And what happens is as we go through our life, the dominating identity changes. So when we're a child, the dominating identity is one of being the son or the daughter of the parent. As we grow up, we start to recognize our siblings a bit more. Oh, I'm a brother, I'm a sister. As we grow even more, we start to recognize our friends. Actually, my mum and dad, they're not so cool. My brother, my sister, they don't get me. My friends are everything. I'm part of this friendship group. And then as we get older, we might ditch those friends and get other friends and ditch those friends, and that happens. And then we may get married, and then our primary identity becomes, oh, I'm a husband, I'm a wife. And then we become a parent, and so on. And then, how many of you are grandparents? Any of you? Some of you? Yeah, some of us are grandparents. And those of you that are grandparents, that we see is now the new big trend, the big identity thing, the big identity shift that we notice a lot. I'm a grandparent, and the role of a grandparent has somewhat changed from 30 years ago. The role of a grandparent nowadays we see is a lot more active, we can say, within the grandchild. So these identities keep changing, or the dominating identity keeps changing. And because this dominating identity keeps changing, what happens is we go through our life with what identity we are dominated by the most. So someone who's a fanatic football fan just thinks of themselves, I'm a Liverpool fan. And that's it. I remember I went to one interview. This was just for like a temporary job when I was about 19 or 20 years old. I was just doing a call center job when I was at university. And I remember at that time, my primary identity was just, I'm a Liverpool fan. So I remember in the interview, they asked me, what was the favorite day of your life? And I said, when I went to Cardiff Stadium and I see Liverpool win the FA Cup. And I was like, okay. And and then they said, is there anything that will stop you from giving your all in this job? I said, yes, if Liverpool get to the European final, I won't be able to come to work. And why? Because that's how I identified myself. I'm a Liverpool fan. I still do, but not as much. I still support the team, but maybe not in such in a way that it defines my identity. And I remember there was someone else who was just talking about his kids, who was going for it was like a group interview, and he was saying, oh, I'm a father of 2 boys. That was the best day of my life. And then when he was asked, well, if anything happens to my kids, I'll have to run to my children. Why? Because his primary identity was being a father. So the identity that we seem to attach ourselves to the most is the one that we act with the most, the one that defines us, the one where we define our own success and define our own failures. So a mother, especially a new mother, will just see everything as, I'm a mother. If the child is not doing well, maybe I'm not doing well as a mom. If the child is doing well, or maybe I'm being a good mom. It's like everything is about being the mom. But what Krishna said, and Arjuna is in a similar scenario. Arjuna is saying, look, I want to do the right thing. I can see you've told me in chapter 2 that actually I need to fight. You made it pretty clear that I need to fight. You made it pretty clear what is devotion. But he's saying there's something that stops me doing the right thing. And Krishna says, yes, the thing that's stopping you doing the right thing is because you are too engrossed in this identity of being either a Kshatriya or being a Kurunandana. Kurunandana meaning being a son of this Kuru lineage. So he is stuck between these two identities. And because he's stuck between these two identities, he is then wondering, what do I do? And Krishna is saying to him, look, yes, lust is the big problem. Lust is the big problem. Because you are identifying with, oh, I'm a Kshatriya and everything depends on me. Or I'm the son of this dynasty and everything depends on me. And because we start to think of ourselves as so important, because we start to think of ourselves, that the identity we've given ourselves as the be-all and end-all, then what happens is we define ourselves with a very limited capacity. Our sphere of growth is limited by the way we identify ourselves. So if it's only I'm a mum or I'm a dad and everything's about being a mum or a dad, it should be a big priority in our life. But if that is everything, then what happens is one little thing goes wrong with the child and everything, we take all the blame on ourselves. I must have done something wrong. So what Krishna is trying to teach Arjuna is try and have a broader vision. Just have a broader vision, have a bigger vision. Have a vision that is not based on, thank you. Have a vision that is not just based on what we see around us, but have a vision that's based a lot broader, a vision of eternality. So Krishna starts chapter 4 saying to Arjuna that, yes, this science, it's 120 million years old. And in 4.1 he's saying to Arjuna that I passed, as Divyesh Bhai said, I passed this transcendental science to the sun god Vivaswan, who passed this on to Manu, and then Manu Ikshvakave Bravit, that Manu then passed this on to King Ikshvaku, who is in the lineage of Lord Ram. And then he says, the next verse in 4.2, Evam Parapara Praptam, that actually this has gone down in Parampara, Imam Raja Rishayo Vidhu, to saintly kings. This information has been given to saintly kings. Sakalena Mahata Yoga Nashta Parantapa, but this has been broken at some point. This chain has been broken at some point. The kings were given this knowledge. Why were the saintly kings given this knowledge? People till now talk about Ram Raj, what it's like to be in Ram Raj. When Ram is the king, then everything is going very nicely. The kingdom is very happy. In those days, if something would go wrong to a family member, they'd go straight to the king and say, what are you going to do about this? And the king would come up with a solution. The saintly kings were given this information because the kings are the ones that influence society. So if the ones who are influencing society have transcendental knowledge, then the way that they rule the kingdom is all for the purpose of spiritual liberation, or we could say spiritual knowledge, spiritual transcendence, spiritual attainment. And all of this, when I keep saying the word spiritual, what do I mean? Beyond matter. Going beyond the day-to-day. Just taking that step out of the comfort zone. So many times we get tempted to have a deeper, meaningful spiritual life. But the one thing that scares us from having a deeper, more meaningful spiritual life is, I think they're going to get them to quieten down a little bit. It's getting exciting. Okay. So the one thing we want to do to have a more deeper, meaningful, more spiritual life is taking a bit of a risk. Taking a bit of a risk. We take so many risks, but when it comes to spiritual life, we tend to hold back, thinking, and this is one that I hear a lot. You might hear it, you might even say it. Mafi mangilevan. God will understand. Do we hear that one? Do we do that one? Yeah, we say that? Yeah. God will understand. It's true. God will understand. God does understand. It's just like when a close family member does something to upset us, we're upset, but we let it go because we want the relationship to stay strong. Isn't it? So if your partner, your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, if they do something that hurts you, you might talk about it with them, you might try and discuss it, but you're upset. But overall, you'll let it go because you don't want to lose the relationship. But you're upset. But you carry on and you let it go. So God is the same. He does carry on. He does let it go. But He does get upset. He does notice. And getting upset doesn't mean He's angry. It doesn't mean He's going to punish you. But He's a person. He's a person. There's a relationship. And if we want to really develop this deeper, meaningful, loving relationship with someone who really wants this relationship with us, like Divyesh Bhai said, he wants us to come back to him more than we want to go back to him. Krishna, in the spiritual world, right this minute, is thinking of each and every one of us, waiting for us to make that step, that big step back towards him. Just to take that step. And that step is different for all of us because we've all got different obstacles. We've all got different challenges. And Krishna says to Arjun in the third text, because you are my dear friend, Bhaktosi Mesaka Cheti, you're my dear friend and you're my devotee. I'm going to give you all this knowledge. I'm going to give you this transcendental knowledge. And all of us are in the same boat because we've got the opportunity to read what's happening in the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjun's listening to this. So Krishna's saying to him, oh, I passed this to Vivishwan, who gave it to Manu, gave it to King Ikshvaku. And as soon as Arjun hears this, Arjun's starting to think, hold on, something doesn't quite make sense. Something isn't quite right with what you're saying. But what he does is he carries on listening to Krishna. And then Krishna says in 4.2, it's gone down in parampara to the saintly kings. And then Krishna says in 4.3, okay, because you're my friend, because you're my devotee, I'm going to pass you this transcendental knowledge. So Arjun starts to realize that, okay, now Krishna's going to start talking about something else. He's going to start talking about something else. Maybe now's a time when I can ask Krishna a question. And that's what he does in 4.4. Arjun asks Krishna a question, a very valid question. He says to Krishna, hold on a second, Vivishwan is older than you. The sun god is older than you. Me and you are kind of like the same age, but Vivishwan, he's a lot older. He's like you're talking about 120 million years ago. So how is it possible that you, who's the same age as me, could have given this information to Vivishwan? It's a very valid question. But what we can learn from Arjuna here in the Bhagavad Gita is two things. One, if we have a question, ask it. Ask it. Arjun is giving us a prime example of don't follow blindly. Don't follow blindly. Use the intelligence. We have intelligence. Krishna's given us intelligence. With that intelligence, don't just blindly follow. Don't blindly follow. Because if we blindly follow without reasoning, without understanding, what happens? This is how, as Krishna said in 4.2, the science starts to get lost. And we notice this. We notice as generations go by, people don't know why we're doing what we're doing. Right? People don't know, why do we do this havan? Why do we do this Why does the wedding take so long? Why do we put flowers here? Why are we doing a fire here? Why do we do a Taya Rakri? All these things, it just becomes a tradition without understanding why we do it. And then what happens as years go by, we lose it. How do we lose it? We start to water it down. And we notice it. It's like, because we don't know why we do it. We don't know why we do it, so then let's just water it down. Let's just change it a little bit. Let's just change it a little bit. And let's just change this a little bit. Let's change that a little bit. Okay, maybe we don't need 12 days to mourn. Maybe we just need 1 day to mourn. When someone passes away. Maybe a wedding doesn't need to take 3 hours. Maybe a wedding can just take like 20 minutes. Then we can have a party. And why? Because we don't know why. But when we know why we're doing something, if we know why we're doing something, then we'll want to do it. We'll actually want to do it. So Arjun's giving us this really interesting understanding. Ask a question. But the thing with Arjun, he asks the question with a lot of humility. He waited. Krishna said it, what he said in 4.1. He waited. Krishna said something else. 4.2. Krishna said something else in 4.3. Okay, now I'm going to ask. So he waited. Does the answer come? He asked very humbly, how am I to understand this? He doesn't challenge Krishna. Oh, that can't be true. What are you on about? How is it possible? You were just born the other day, and this guy, Vivishwan, he was born 120 million years ago. That can't be true. You're talking rubbish. That's not true. Doof. He didn't speak like that. So it's kind of reaching a middle ground. Don't blindly follow. That's one end of the pendulum. The other, don't challenge rudely. But meet in the middle. Ask the question with humility, with real curiosity. Then what will happen? We'll get answers that will invoke our inspiration. So Krishna says to Arjun, interesting. There's something I need to tell you. We've had many births. You've had many births and so have I. But guess what? You can't remember any of yours, but I can remember all of mine. So he's saying that to Arjun. So very nice answer. He said, and now Krishna goes on this little path, and he doesn't do this much at the beginning in the first 6 chapters of the Gita, but he starts to explain a little bit about who he is and why he comes here. As Divyesh Bhai was mentioning, yada yada hi dharmasya, I come here millennium after millennium to annihilate the demons. Vinashayacha duskritam, to annihilate the demons, and paritranaya sadhunam, to save my devotees. I come here for that purpose. He comes here for that purpose. And we may think, okay, but how does that help me? How does that help me? It helps me, it helps us, because if we understand the teachings of the Lord, if we get an understanding of what the Lord did while He was here, what we get to understand is not just what Krishna did, know just about Him. What we actually get to understand is who He is as a person. It's like if a mother takes a child to the doctor, and the doctor will check the blood pressure, because the child may be sick. The doctor will check the blood pressure, do what you guys do. You check things, and what happens is the doctor gets to know about the child, facts. So we can get to know facts about the Lord, true. But what the Bhagavad Gita does, if we approach the Bhagavad Gita in the right way, we get to know Krishna the person. And when we get to know Krishna the person, we get to understand that this person is full of love. He's full of love. He's desperate for a relationship with us. He didn't have to guide Arjuna in the way he did. He could have finished the Gita in 6 words. I am God, surrender and fight. Bas, done. I am God, obey me, fight. He could have finished the Bhagavad Gita in the 6 words very, very quickly. He could have done it. And Arjun would have done it. But he takes Arjun on this journey, and Arjun goes on this journey because Arjun has questions. So if we humbly approach The Bhagavad Gita, with our questions, the Bhagavad Gita will reciprocate, either when we read it, either when we ask someone else about it, when we have a discussion, or when we are going through our day-to-day life. Actually, what happens with this transcendental knowledge is not so much we have to go and grab the information, but actually this knowledge gets revealed in the heart. It gets revealed in the heart. How does it get revealed in the heart? This is the reciprocation of the Lord. This is Krishna's reciprocation. And when we get to 4.11, Krishna says to Arjuna that as one surrenders unto me, Mama prapadyante, tamstateva bhajamiham mama prapadyante. As one surrenders unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. Mam evaya prapadyante. Yeah. So tamstateva bhajamiham. And then he says that actually everyone is following my path, either directly or indirectly. So what he's trying to say is, we can approach Krishna in whichever way we want. But the big thing is, he will reciprocate according to how you approach him. That's how he will reciprocate, how you approach him. It's not so much the action, it's more about the intention. See, Arjuna and Duryodhana, if you look at their actions, aren't they pretty much the same? They're both on a battlefield, they've both got a bow and arrow, and they're both going to try and kill each other. And they're both their armies are going to try and kill each other. The actions are the same, but the intentions are totally different. Sometimes we get asked this question, how can you be a devotee and at the same time have a family and have a job and have all these worldly responsibilities? And it's true. A devotee will always look the same pretty much as anyone else. But inside the heart of a devotee of the Lord, inside the heart of a devotee of the Lord, there'll be something very different going on. And that something very different going on is understanding that this world that we live in is a temporary stay. It's a temporary stay. And Krishna is going to give this knowledge to Arjuna. He's ready to give this knowledge to Arjuna. Arjuna is keen for this knowledge. Krishna can tell by the questions he's asking. And Krishna is saying, as you approach me, I will reward you accordingly. I will reciprocate accordingly. He loves all of us. He loves all of us. But he'll reciprocate according to how we approach him. And we are the same. He's a person, and we are learning how to be a person from the ultimate person. Isn't it true? If a friend asks for a favor, the way they approach you, the mood of the relationship, when they want the favor and they've been close to you, they've served you, you've served them, you've had a connection, a relationship, you'll drop everything. Someone else who you might feel obliged to, you'll still do the favor, but you may not be as reciprocal, as up for it as you would be with someone who you have a relationship with. So Krishna gives us exactly what we need. And in 4.12, he tells Arjuna that actually, we could worship the Devtas. We can worship the Devtas. And the Devtas will give you very quick results. They'll give you very, very quick results. But what Krishna does, he may not give you exactly what you want. But what he does is he gives you exactly what you need. He gives you exactly what you need. There is nothing that you have or nothing that you don't have that Krishna hasn't sanctioned. So actually this is a really good understanding for when times are tough. Whatever I've been given, Krishna has sanctioned it. He sanctioned it. It may not be exactly what he would have wanted for you, but he sanctioned it. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, maybe he sanctioned it because sometimes we need a bit of tough love, isn't it? We need a bit of tough love. And because we need a bit of tough love, he sanctions things that will inspire us in such a way that we can learn to grow. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, look, if you want quick results, there's a way of getting quick results. But just stick to this path. Stick to this path. It's not necessarily the case in what he's saying in 4.11 in the previous verse that all paths lead to the same thing. Everything is directly or indirectly connected to Krishna, but we do have to make decisions. So sometimes people say, work is worship. Have you ever heard this? As long as you're good at work, then you're worshipping God. It's in one sense, yes, it's true. Work can be a form of worship. But we can't say work is worship. Because then we're saying actually work is enough to connect us to Krishna. Enough. But then how can it be enough? Because what we're then trying to understand from all of this is there's something beyond the day-to-day of what we're going through in our life. There's just something beyond this. And the more we live our life with the vision of eternality, this vision that actually there is more. There is more to it. There is more than what I see around me. Arjuna is in the biggest dilemma, the biggest crisis of his life. And if it was the case that all paths lead to one, then there's no point even having the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, what's the point of having this whole scripture if all paths lead to one? Because then it doesn't matter whether Arjuna fights or doesn't fight, if all paths lead to one. But Krishna's teaching Arjuna, you've got to do your duty. You've got to do your duty. But when you do your duty, don't do your duty with the expectation of a result. Which we spoke about in the second chapter. Don't do your duty with an expectation of a result. And what time do we finish, by the way? 20 minutes, okay. In this chapter. And it leads on to this, because when we are doing our duty, Krishna then, and Krishna's mentioned, you want to do your duty and not expect a result. Try and do something without expecting something in return. And what Krishna's doing is he's kind of saying to Arjuna, look, there's different types of karma, and he's mentioning this in the text 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, 18. He's getting into this. And he's saying to Arjuna, look, there's different types of action. There's karma, there's akarma, there's vikarma. There's different types of action. I mean, and karma itself is quite and Krishna says this to Arjuna, that actually the intricacies of karma is very difficult to understand. He says it's very difficult. Do we sometimes feel we're getting a reaction in life that we don't deserve? Do we ever feel that? Like, this was a bit harsh. Some things you can understand, but some things you're like, that was a bit below the belt there, mate. Krishna, what are you doing? You know? I remember speaking to one person, and I was telling him about a difficult situation I was in. But I was telling him how much I'm learning about myself because of the way I'm reacting to certain situations. And then he said to me, Kunal, would you want to have it any other way? You seem to be learning so much about yourself through this difficult situation. I said, yeah, I understand, but I just wish it was just a little bit less. I just wish this difficulty was just a little bit less than what it is at the moment. And sometimes we are desperate to just put water on the fire. Just put a fire out. Just this fire that's burning in my life, I need to just get some water, just get the fire brigade around, just get rid of that fire. But what happens sometimes when we just try to get rid of the fire, the fire comes back. And we notice, have we ever noticed that the same test keeps coming back? It might be packaged a bit differently. You know, it might be a different person, it might be a different situation, but the same test seems to come back. The same test. Whether we are having difficulty handling our emotions and we cry all the time, or maybe we're having difficulty handling our emotions and we rage out and get angry all the time, or maybe we're having difficulty being honest and we can't help cheating a business deal, or we can't help cheating when any opportunity comes, and we think next time I won't do it, but we still do it. And this is what Arjun's saying to Krishna, what is it that makes me keep doing what I don't want to do? And Krishna says it's lust. But how to control lust? Krishna says it's this transcendental knowledge. And this transcendental knowledge has been passed down for millions of years. For millions of years. And this intricacy of karma is so difficult to understand because we don't understand anything before this lifetime. It's very hard to, we don't even understand, we don't even remember what we did as kids. I don't remember everything I did yesterday. You know, it's like we don't remember everything. And we notice actually that we're very, very quick to brush off everything that we've done that is bad. Does this happen to anyone? If you do something bad, you kind of just like put it out of your mind. And then when someone says to you, but you said this to me, you don't even remember that you said it. You know, my wife's really good. She's got a really good memory. All the bad things I've said to her for 11 years. She hasn't forgotten one of them. So sometimes what happens, she'll say to me, you know, in 2014, you said this. And I'm like, wow, 2014, that was 9 years ago. But how do you remember? But how did I not remember? Because it was something bad I did. It's just like, you know, it's just like quickly brush it under the carpet. I don't want, you know. But what happens is we're so good at brushing under the carpet whatever wrongs we have done. Whatever wrongs we have done, we kind of put it away. Whatever good we've done, Krishna says this in 4.15, or he's kind of hinting this at 4.15, that actually he is talking about his glories. Right? And then what he does, he brings it back to Arjuna's question in about 4.15. And what he's kind of hinting at is actually, you know, all of us, we're the exact opposite. We don't have much. I mean, we have little bits, you know, we have some competencies, we have some good qualities. But what we do with that is we kind of like boast about it to everyone, isn't it? It's like, whoa, look at me. Look at me, I'm amazing. This is what I achieved, this is what I did. And why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that is because we're struggling actually deeply, without even knowing sometimes, that we're struggling to accept ourselves for who we are. There's bits about ourselves that we're not quite aligned with. We don't like everything about ourselves. And because we don't like everything about ourselves, what we do is we boast a bit about ourselves to others, and what happens then is they validate us and they say something like, oh, you're really good at that. Oh, that's amazing. How did you do that? Oh my God, that's so cool. And what happens with all of that validation that we haven't managed to give ourselves, we seek it from others. And then when we get that from others, that gives us a false, and it is false, a false sense of security. Why is it false? Because if that person doesn't say the same thing the next time they see you, you feel bad. Right? You feel bad. Because why didn't they notice? But then we can ask ourselves, why are we performing our actions just so others notice? Because if we are just living our life so that other people notice how I did something, then what we're actually saying is, I'm not happy with myself, and because I'm not happy with myself, I need someone else to validate my existence. And when they validate my existence, then I can be happy about myself. So then what we're doing is we're actually saying, I am giving the external world the power to run my happiness. And when we give the power to the world to run our happiness, that's a false sense of security, because the world may or may not give you what you need. So what Krishna is telling Arjuna is, actually, let's not go outside the self. Let's not go outside the self. I've come here. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, I've come here to give happiness to my devotees. You're my devotee. I've come here to give you happiness. So Krishna is saying, if you really want happiness, give the power to Him. If we want to put the power of our life in someone that is not a false sense of security, He's the person we can give that power to, because He will never let us down. Till date, Krishna has never, ever, ever let us down. We may think He has, but He hasn't. He's never let us down. He's never let us down. As a parent, I can definitely say I've let my kids down at points. I mean, I can. There's been times where I've reacted in the wrong way. I've had short fuse. I've come home from work. I'm tired, and I've just said, no, I haven't got time right now. Papa, I just want to play. Not now. Not now. And actually, I've let my kid down, because my kid doesn't understand that I'm tired from work. They just, you've come home from work. They think as soon as you're home from work, it's time to play. But Krishna's never done that to us. So rather than living a life where we give the power of our happiness to others, and then, aloko vakan karse, or iloko ne joyu, if we live our life waiting for others to praise us, if we perform charitable activities just so others praise us, if we do anything just to seek the praise of others, we're living a life that is never going to give us contentment. It's never going to satisfy us. It's never going to satisfy us. Never. Because it's never enough. It's never enough. I remember when I first started giving talks about 15 years ago, and if someone wouldn't say afterwards, oh, that was a nice class, that was a nice talk, I think, oh, well, what happened? What happened? And then over the years, I've started to realize, actually, it doesn't matter. Someone may say, someone doesn't say, but we'll feel it in the heart. And we'll feel in the heart when we are validating ourselves, when we're developing a relationship with Krishna. And then whether someone praises us, or whether someone criticizes us, we can take it because we validated ourselves with Krishna. We've allowed Krishna into our lives to give us that contentment, to give us that satisfaction. And then when someone criticizes us, we don't take this illusion too seriously. Like we get really upset, don't we, when people criticize us? So we get really upset. But actually, if we give that power to others, then what happens? Then someone's criticism will pierce my heart. And if someone's criticism pierces my heart, then I'm not secure. And if I'm not secure, I may not do what I'm good at in life because I'm scared of the criticism. I'm worried about the criticism from others. So, practicing spiritual life means have a soft heart, but have thick skin. We need to have soft heart and a thick skin. Soft heart so we can devotionally give ourselves to everyone. Having a thick skin so that we have a shield. We have a shield that when people criticize us, when people say things to us, we don't take this illusion too seriously. Because it is. It is. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, yes, there's karma. This is very difficult to understand. Why is it difficult? It's difficult because even the word karma, if we think about the word karma, it means so many different things. Karma means action, isn't it? I'm doing my karma. That's my action. Or we can think karma is if someone hits me, I'll be like, oh, that was my karma. Okay, so that's a reaction. So karma can mean action, karma can mean reaction. And then we can say the law of karma. The system of action and reaction is also referred to as karma. So we can see that, yes, karma has lots of intricacies, because that one word can mean so many different things, just in itself. Once Dhritarashtra, he asks Krishna, he says to Krishna, how could this happen? I've lost 100 sons in this war. How could this happen to me? And Krishna said to him, 50 lifetimes ago, 50 lifetimes ago, you were hunting, you had a bow and arrow, you were hunting, and very cruelly, you shot the arrow and you blinded a bird and you killed all its 100 eggs. 50 lifetimes ago. So Dhritarashtra then says, well, 50 lifetimes ago. So how is it that it took 50 lifetimes for me to get this reaction? And Krishna says to Krishna said to Dhritarashtra that you needed 50 lifetimes to gain the piety to get 100 sons. Because to get 100 sons, you need to have a lot of piety. So it took him 50 lifetimes of punya, of good action, to get 100 sons. And then the karma from 50 lifetimes ago caught up on him. He blinded a bird, so Dhritarashtra was born blind. And Dhritarashtra lost 100 sons. So the intricacies of karma are so difficult to understand. So difficult to understand. It's not possible to understand exactly why something is happening to us, why something is not happening to us. There's so many different factors involved. If you think of a farmer has to sow the land, then he puts the seed, right? So he does his bit, he plows the land, then he gets a seed. If you get a good seed, then what happens? You have to hope that the rain comes. Not too hard in England, but wherever you are, you have to hope that the rain comes. And then the rain comes. And then when the rain comes, then what happens? It takes time. It takes time for the seed to fructify. So similarly, we have to do our action. We do our action. We do our action. We do our good act. Let's say we do our good action. But then our good action, it needs time. And it needs destiny. What is our destiny? The rain is destiny. But what is our destiny? Our destiny is our karmic balance. That's our karmic balance. That's our destiny has been shaped by the karmic balance we came with. Sometimes people work so hard, and they want to be millionaires, and they work so hard, but they never make it. Some people, they don't have to do much, and before you know it, boom. Because the destiny is different. So people have different destiny. It doesn't mean we can't do anything. It's like within your sphere, within that limited sphere, we're able to change by the work that we do. We'll be able to manipulate or change our destiny. But what we can change in this lifetime is limited. It's limited because we have our destiny. So for example, it's like if you tie an animal to a tree, right? Even let's say we tied ourselves to a tree and with a rope. Then what happens is you can move around that rope. You can move around the tree with that rope, but you can't move further. So that's how much you can change your destiny. Or you can also think of it like you're on an aeroplane. And when you're on an aeroplane, let's say from London to New York, you're going to New York. You're going to New York. Now in those few hours, you might be in first class, you might be in business, you might be in economy. You might go for a walk in the plane. You can change a few things around within the sphere of the plane. But your destiny is, I'm going to New York. That's where that's where your destiny is taking you. And that's in terms of our health, our wealth, our relationships. We can change it a little bit, but some of it is just destined because of our previous karmic balance. Sometimes we can't even understand the way karma works because it's like this. You could do one action, and that one action could lead to different reactions at different times. right? Like different reaction. You could, let's say you do something really bad. You kill someone, and you killing someone, that reaction might not just be something that happens to you once. A few times, some pain, some misery might come to you. Or sometimes what happens, we do multiple actions and just get one heavy reaction. Few things get put together, boom, one heavy reaction. So karma is a very difficult, intricate thing to understand. But one thing that we can understand about karma is that what's given to us when we start to practice spiritual life is that it's given to us in a way that we can reform and get spiritual realization. So Krishna takes personal interest in us as we approach him. So as soon as we approach him, as soon as we become interested in him, we get our karma in a way that we can grow. In a way that we can grow. Maybe what he'll do is, let's say we were destined to have a health problem, a job problem, and a relationship problem in our life. And maybe the intensity of our karmic balance was that we were going to get all these things at the same time. You know, we could get diagnosed with cancer, have a relationship breakup, and lose our job. Now imagine if this was spread over 10 or 15 years, and one thing happened every 5 years, we might be able to handle it. You know, health crisis came along, but you concentrated on your health and you got better. Then a relationship crisis came along, and then you went for some counseling, some couples therapy, where you changed as a couple, and you dealt with that. And then a job problem came along, and then you managed to get another job. So what Krishna does is he might give us our karma, but he might spread it out in a way that we can learn, that we can grow, that we can actually take some steps towards him. Even though what was meant to happen was to have an intensity of it all happening at the same time. So what is Krishna giving to Arjuna? Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna. Oh, we're nearly out for time. Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna because Arjuna asks for it. He asks for this knowledge. And Krishna is saying to Arjuna, and we'll get into this in 2 weeks' time, that actually with sacrifice, when we make a sacrifice, then transcendental knowledge gets revealed in the heart. And the sacrifices we have to make are not massive. Krishna doesn't give us a test that we cannot handle. That's how nice he is. It's like when you do an exam at school or university, there's an exam, but the purpose of the exam is set so you can pass. You know, an exam is not set so you fail and you never get to the second year or you never get to the third year. An exam is set so you can pass, but it should be challenging. So similarly, our tests in this world will challenge us. The tests in this world will challenge us to grow, will challenge us to get to know ourselves a bit better. Get to know who we really are and actually begin to accept where is it that I can improve. We can always blame everyone else. We can always spend our life blaming everyone else. But when we take responsibility for our life, we can actually see, you know what? I could do better here. I could do better there. You know, and when we start to accept what is in ourselves, you know, actually one really amazing thing, if you really, one real big litmus paper test you can do, if there's someone you really don't like, right? If there's someone you really just don't, when I mean someone who's just getting under your skin, like really getting under your skin, like, oh my God, I can't stand this person, whoever it is. You don't have to say, even if it's mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, you don't have to say. So when this is happening, try and see that this person that I cannot stand is reflecting something within myself. It's an amazing thing. The reason I cannot stand them and they're getting under my skin so much is because I have what it is about them that I don't like. That's why it gets under our skin. Like when you see a fault in someone else, and if you don't have that fault, that fault doesn't really get to you. But when someone else's fault gets to you, when someone else's shortcomings get to you, it's because you have it yourself. It's because we have that. You have that yourself. We have that within us, and that's why it gets to us. It gets to us because it's within us. If it's not within us, it can't get to us. We could see it. Oh, okay, yeah, they're a bit stingy. Okay, cool. Okay, now if someone else is stingy and it gets to you, maybe because we have that miserliness in ourselves. If someone else is really rude, to young children and it really gets to you, maybe we also do that, have that little bit in ourselves. So it's and then what we actually understand from all of this is, and this is how Krishna gets us to learn about ourselves, is if we can start seeing the world as a classroom. Just like Arjuna started to see this battlefield as a classroom. It's not about they did this and they did that and blame Duryodhana and blame Dhritarashtra. Okay, this battlefield became a classroom. This battlefield became a classroom. And for us also, this world can become a really wonderful classroom. If someone criticizes us, we can first think rather than fighting back, there's two things we can do. First thing we can think of is, okay, what can I learn from this? Like maybe if I just tame my ego, maybe they're saying something about me that I can learn. Like, what can I learn? What can I learn? And then secondly, how does Krishna want me to respond to this? You can always ask ourselves these questions. What does Krishna want me to learn? And how does Krishna want me to respond? Well, because we have it in us. We have it in us to respond in a very nice, kind way. And Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna to say, look, karma is difficult to understand. This knowledge has been going from millions of years and it keeps getting lost, it keeps getting broken because it's hard to understand. It is difficult to understand. So what he's saying to Arjuna is, act with akarma. And akarma means act with a higher purpose. Do our actions, whatever they are, do our day-to-day duties in life, but have a higher purpose. And that higher purpose is, how can I purify my heart? How can I cleanse my heart so that I can have, they say Krishna is Makhan Chor. What does that mean? What does Makhan Chor mean? Yeah, the butter thief. The butter thief. How can I make my heart as soft as butter so that Krishna, Makhan Chor, can come and steal my heart? That's what we want to do. We want to soften the heart. We want to soften the heart. Soften the heart. Fill it with love. Fill the heart with love. And if we're finding that, where will I find this love? Krishna is there. He's ready. He's up for the relationship. What he says? He says, risk it. He says, he wants us to take the step. And the biggest step we can do is to daily chant the Hare Krishna mantra. If we chant this mantra every day, at the beginning it will feel like austerity. It will feel difficult. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next beat, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The mind will go here, the mind will go there, the mind might go everywhere. But if we stick at it, if we do a whole round every day, or 2 rounds every day, it might take 10 minutes, it might take 20 minutes. But if you dedicate that time to a relationship with Krishna, they say the proof is in the pudding. So the proof is there. The proof is within the Hare Krishna mantra. So we kindly encourage everyone, if you're chanting, chant more. If you're not chanting, chant this mantra every day. And when we chant this mantra every day, just see for ourselves that actually this is real. This is not just time pass. Say time pass keru. Fine na tu. But actually, this is real. A relationship is there. It's waiting. He's waiting. They say, I remember someone said to me once, one of my friends, he said, in the spiritual world, we have family. In the spiritual world, Krishna's there. And in the spiritual world, they're all just waiting for us to come back. Eternal family are waiting for us to just come back. And they're gonna, when we get there, they will be like, hey, where you been? Hey, never mind, let's get back to it. And it's as if you never left. Coming to this material world for millions of lifetimes is just like a click, just like a millisecond as to the time in the spiritual world. So we'll stop here and we'll invite anyone to ask questions or also hear from you any thoughts, any comments on this first half of chapter number 4. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Sorry. Why did he make life so complicated that, you have to, like karma, why couldn't he just do it within the same life? You did something wrong, so you need to pay for it in this life. Why do you need to try and remember what someone did 50 million years ago?
Yeah, good question. So why did Krishna make it so difficult, to understand? The thing is,
Especially for children, youngsters, for them to understand this fact is very hard. For them, they need to see instant results. If I'm good things should happen to me. If I'm bad, then okay, I understand if something went wrong.
Yeah, see, if it all happened in one life, if everything happened in one life, then in one sense, where's the starting point? Because the starting point itself, our birth, is a result of what's happened previously. It takes a few lifetimes to get to know God because of so many lifetimes of not knowing God. So the reason we are all seated here, the reason we are all interested in the Bhagavad Gita must mean that in a previous life, we've begun this journey. And we've begun this journey of spirituality. And then at the end of that life, maybe we didn't complete our desires in this material world. So then we came back, right? So if Krishna was to give all the reactions that you were due, all in that previous life, then maybe in that previous life, if you were due if you got all those reactions, then maybe you wouldn't have felt like carrying on your spiritual journey. Because it becomes too much. It just becomes too much. So actually what Krishna's doing isn't making it complicated to make it harder. He's spreading things out to make it easier. He's spreading it out so that we've got the opportunity to keep growing. The good news is that in this age, Kali Yuga, it's so hard, but yet it's so easy. So it said that in Kali Yuga, it's the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So what that means is since the last 5,000 years, and from now for the next 423,000 years, that quarrel and hypocrisy are the dominating forces of the world. And you see this. Everyone's fighting and it's a big hypocrisy. Everything's hypocritical. So what Krishna did is, he said, okay, look, for 10,000 years, and we're at the beginning of it now. If we in the next 1,000 years take advantage of what is called the golden age, then within this one lifetime, right from where we are now till the end of our life in this life, we can finish it all off. We can finish everything off in this one lifetime. And the way to finish this off is Kali Kale Nam Rupe Krishna Avatar. In this age of Kali, Krishna has descended in the form of his holy name. That's what he said. And by chanting his holy name, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, he says that your heart will become cleansed. And as your heart will become cleansed, we will begin to lose a taste for fame. We'll lose taste for desiring praise of others. And as we start to lose the taste of fame, envy, seeking validation from others, and then start to experience prem, real love for Krishna, then within this one lifetime, all the complications are over. So yes, in one sense, it has been complicated maybe for us in the past, but this golden ticket that we've been given it's like someone gave you a visa to go to get on the plane, and when you land there, you got a 5-star hotel with unlimited money. You'd go right now, right? We'd just go right now. We're like, okay, let's do it, let's go. So that's what we've been given. So in this lifetime, the complications can be completely finished. Krishna, and in the 18th chapter, Krishna then says that I will take away all your previous sinful reactions. Sarva dharman parityaja, give everything up, surrender to me, and I will take care of all your previous sins from all your previous lifetimes. The opportunity is there. Hope that makes sense.
Anyone else? No more lovely microphone. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about 4.12 about the demigods.
Yeah.
And in that, there's a bit where it says, foolish people worship the demigods because they want immediate results. The intelligent person in Krishna consciousness, he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate or temporary benefit. But there are so many demigods that people believe in now, and it's growing. So what's your view on that? What would you suggest? Because, it's
Yeah, but Krishna also, it's a good point, but Krishna also says in the 3rd chapter that when someone has faith, don't disturb their faith. So if someone has faith in a demigod, we shouldn't say, hey, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Because he says in the 3rd chapter, don't disturb someone's faith. Don't disturb someone's faith, because at least they have faith. So then here, what Krishna is saying is, okay, you have faith, fine, but if you want someone, what we're saying in 4.12, if you want someone that's going to love you and take care of your spiritual needs, then worship me. Because worshipping the demigods, what he's saying is you'll get your material results. If you worship a demigod for money, you may get the money. If you worship for a husband or a wife, you may get that husband, you may get the wife. You'll get that result. You get that result. Fine. But when you get that result, there's no guarantee that what you wanted will make you happy, is good for you. That what you wanted is good. Someone could get loads of money. We've heard this story so many times. I remember when I was a young child and we heard this story of the first person who won £18 million in the national lottery. They won the national lottery, but within a few years, they had no friends, they got divorced from their family, and then they're like, I wish I never won the lottery. So sometimes what we may pray for because we think it's good for us may not be good for us. But if someone has faith in another religion or a demigod, that's good. That's good, because Krishna says, don't disturb their faith. Does that make sense?
I'll just take that on board, because I'll be honest, this is a really big topic. I know we're just passing on this, but actually, I don't know other people for, but in reality, this is something I go and somebody says worship Shiva, somebody says worship this, worship that. There's so much out there. And I think it is a very valid point. And as you said, it can be confusing, but I don't know, I know people are keeping quiet, but actually in our own community, this is a thing. And you're saying to us here that okay, oh, do the Hare Krishna mantra. Then this one said, oh, do Om Namo Shivaya, and this one will say, oh, do Swaminarayan mantra. This one will say, do Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. And I think Prithiban, you mentioned as well that that actually, why is it so complex? So can you just? I just want you to maybe spend 2 minutes just to clarify that in a sort of frank way and see what you feel. I don't know how other people feel, but this is something that I find that when I'm talking to people, is that fair or not fair? Yeah. So can you? But we know without being critical of anything, but just be.
Yeah. We think here is Krishna saying, I'm the one who created. So it's very
yeah, or maybe even just refer to the Bhagavad Gita and see if there's some there. You're happy to take that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think. Thanks for putting me in the hotspot.
Well, I asked Dinesh Bhai to do the questions, but he pointed to me. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I quite caught the grasp of the question. I don't think I've fully got the question. But what came to mind to me when you said someone may say chant the Om Namah Shivaya, or someone may chant the Gayatri. But when I'm saying chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is not that you have to give up anything that you're doing. Just add Krishna to your life. That's all we're trying to say. Add Krishna to your life. Chant Hare Krishna, don't give up anything that you're doing that you're not comfortable with, and just see what happens. Just develop this relationship with Krishna and just let that relationship develop in the way that you and Krishna start developing that relationship. And like Lord Shiva, if you think about in Srimad Bhagavatam, when we think about who is Lord Shiva? Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. That means Lord Shiva is the one who can teach us how to worship Krishna the best, actually. I know so many devotees at the Hare Krishna temple who said to me, I was praying to Lord Shiva so much, and now I'm here. So the demigods and Krishna are not against each other, they're all together. They're all together. And what Krishna is saying is, and we'll get to this in the 5th chapter, so I don't want to ruin the fun for you, but in the 5th chapter, Krishna says that I give all the demigods' power is coming from me. So Krishna is giving them what they have. And what he's saying to them is, you can come to me directly. You can come to me directly. So what I would say is, if you have devotion and if you have affiliation to Lord Shiva or Lord Ram, Hanuman, this is amazing. This is wonderful. And all we're encouraging you to do is add the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to your life daily, every day, at least one round, and let that relationship develop. And if that relationship develops into, I want to now chant 2 rounds, I want to now chant 4 rounds, I want to do some reading, I want to do this, just see what happens in that relationship. Because chanting Hare Krishna is not just a mechanical thing. It's very real. I think I've spoken about my own story, and if you don't mind, I'll just share it here again. Is when my kaki got diagnosed with cancer in 2001, I had no idea what to do. I was 19 years old. My mum and dad were in Kenya, so I had the house to myself. I get this news. I went to my uncle's house and they said, okay, look, Kaki's got cancer. She just turned 40. So I was like, oh my God, this is heartbreaking. This is shocking. She had 2 young children who were like 9 and 7 or something at the time. And I was just in total shock. And then I thought, okay, I need to go somewhere that I'm going to get some sort of relief. I just wanted some relief. I thought this is just too much. And other things in my life was also difficult, like my university wasn't going so well, etc. So I went to the temple and someone gave me some beads and I started to chant. And I started to chant 1 round a day. And I began to become attached to just chanting 1 round a day. I just chanted 1 round a day. And about 2.5 years later, I just chanted 1 round a day. And this was for 2 years, 2.5 years. And it got to the end of 2003. and I had my exams coming up, my final exams, nearly my final exams for my ACCA, my accounting, and I just started to chant more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And I was in desperation. I was just chanting the holy name. Because when you really need him, you'll chant in a desperate way. So it's just like, it's described, Srila Prabhupada was saying that we should chant the Hare Krishna mantra in the mood of a baby crying for its mother. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And I was chanting in desperation because I wanted help with my exams. But I never forget that all this chanting, I began to feel in my heart something was happening. Something real was happening. I remember I had all these plans because these exams were in December with my friends. We're going to go to this place, that place. And I called my friend and I said, hey, I'm not going to come out clubbing on New Year's Eve because I want to read the Bhagavad Gita. He's like, you what, mate? But I remember him saying that. I remember it really clearly. And I remember one journey from the library. I used to go to study. I didn't go to the university, but I used to study at Hertfordshire Library because you could stay there till really late. So I was studying in the library and I had a picture of Krishna in my car. And I played it, I was playing a kirtan and I started to drive, and I usually used to drive, and I used to drive home, and a lot of the time the temple would be on the way to the library and on the way back. But because it was late, it was closed. But I remember driving, and my heart was just dancing. And I could just feel my heart dancing. It was just like, there was a feeling I could never ever describe. And I remember looking at the picture of Krishna and I said, you are doing something to me. I don't know what it is, but you are doing something to me. I remember saying that. And this all came, no one had spoken to me. I didn't speak to anyone because I didn't trust anyone. So I go to the temple, it's like, don't leave me alone, don't talk to anyone. I tried reading once or twice, but I never understood anything, so I didn't read. But for 2.5 years, all I did was chant. And at some point, I just felt that relationship started to grow. And I remember saying to Krishna that day, something is happening to me. And I remember just feeling it's all because of this chanting thing. So what I'm trying to get at with my response is, please don't give up anything, any faith, anything that we have. Please continue that. But at the same time, just add this mantra daily and just see what happens. And we'll get and it's actually what we'll notice if we're around the right people, we'll get a greater appreciation of Hanuman. We'll get a greater appreciation of Lord Shiva. We'll get a greater appreciation of Ganesh. Because all the demigods can help us on our ultimate journey. That's what I would say. I know that was more than 2 minutes, but sorry.
So no, you've all been wonderful. So thank you for your patience. Kunal? Family. Lita Ben Hina, thank you again for doing this. And there is Farad as well as non-Farad. And thank you at the back for everything. Please join us, and we'll leave it at that. Everyone, please enjoy. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, instructions from the right. No, I think, okay, what